Welcome my constant reader friends. I'm Tad and this is Tad Reads Books and Stuff. Alright, so I finished another novel in the 2024 Spooky Scary Skeleton Halloween Readathon, hosted by Nicole from Nicole's Bookish Nook and many of her co-captains. Alright, if you've been following this series so far, I'm on my last book that I planned to read for this series, and I finished it. It's The Other by Thomas Tryon. All right, we're going to talk about this, but real quick, I want to give my TBR for November. I'm going to try to take it a little bit easy in November and do some house cleaning. I've got to finish some series. One not quite finished, but move along with the series. So first off, the next video will be Sister of Starlet Seas by Terry Brooks. This is the third book in, what are they calling it? The Viridian Deep, I think. Viridian Deep, yes, in the Viridian Deep series. This is book 3. If you've been watching my channel, I'm just going to use this opportunity to show off a bunch of books today. The first book was Child of Light. I did a video review of that. Please look it up. And then book 2, Daughter of Darkness by Terry Brooks. Please look up that video if you feel inclined. Really cool little series. Almost a YA-ish type of series, but it's Terry Brooks. You know I'm a big fan of Terry Brooks. And this is book 3. I've been talking about, I read this, 2 months ago now? I just haven't been able to get around to do the video. So my next week video will finally be Sisters of Starlet Sea by Terry Brooks. All right, so that's next week. Then after that, I don't know what order I'm going to do these, but maybe this order. I don't know. I want to read Tommy Ediemi. I hope I'm saying your name right. Children of Anguish and Anarchy. This is also the third book in the Legacy of Orisha series. The first book was Children of Blood and Bone. I love these covers. These covers are beautiful. Children of Blood and Bone was the first book in the trilogy. The next one, Children of Virtue and Vengeance, was the second book. And now we are finally on the third book, Children of Anguish and Anarchy. This is a new author. Children of Blood and Bone was actually her first novel, and it was awesome. The trilogy has been going fine so far. I can't wait to end it. These end pages are painted really cool. I like this. I mean, I hope you can kind of see that. Really cool. It's got really nice map in it. We love our maps here. Kind of Afrocentric fantasy, and really cool. I can't wait to get into this. We're going to read this in November. Also, this one, I didn't even know, I hadn't heard about this, and then I just saw something. It just came out. It's called The Great When, a Long London novel, and look who it's by, Alan Moore. Yep, Alan Moore, famous comic book author. This is his new, it's a fantasy type series. I think it blends sci-fi and fantasy together, taking place in an alternate type of London, I believe. Can't wait to read it. And it's not 5 million pages long, which Alan Moore likes to do in his novelizations. So we're going to be reading that one November, The Great When. And last but certainly not least, into the Narrow Dark. This is book 3 in the Last King of Austin Ard series by Tad Williams. Again, if you've watched my channel at all, you know I'm a huge Tad Williams fan. This is the second series in the Austin Ard world, and this is book 3. Book 4 is coming out shortly. Can't wait to get that. You know, we've talked about this because Empire of Grass was the first book, and I just love this cover. Talked about it many times on the channel. The second book in the series, The Witchwood Crown, again, another beautiful cover. And then, of course, the third and fourth book will have a different style of cover. Not that soft touch cover, more cheaper to produce. I think there was some contract problems with the artist and the publisher. I don't know. But anyways, they changed. So this is book 3. Can't wait. I'm going to be getting that done in November as well. So, that'll take care of a couple series that I'm reading. So, done. That's November. Let's move on. Let's get back to the other. So, this satisfies the prompt. I can't remember what number prompt this is. This satisfies I'm using it to satisfy the prompt for a classic horror novel, older than 30 years old. And also, it kind of fits the prompt for a story about ghosts or ghouls. I have read some reviews of this book where they actually use the word ghosts and ghouls, although I don't know if it's actually, I don't know if it's really a ghost story. Anyways, I'll tell you what it is. Let's start with the numbers. The Other by Thomas Tryon. So this book was published in January of 1971. My version is a first. It has 80 pages, and on Goodreads it currently has a 3.98. This was on the New York bestseller list for weeks when it came out. Really cool. If you don't know any of the history, Thomas Tryon was a Hollywood actor who eventually retired from being an actor to become an author. This was his very first book. He went on to write several other books. Harvest Home, his second book, is one of my all-time favorite horror novels. But this one's damn good. Yeah. It's weird. He wrote this through 1970. I think he said there were like 9 edits, 9 rewrites of the book. Writes it in 1970. It's published in January 1971, and they make a movie in 1972. That's how quick the turnaround time was, and how good this book really is. What is it? Well, first off, I want to explain that this is a classic, quiet horror novel. A lot of people, when they talk about The Other, they will talk about Rosemary's Baby, which I have right on the shelf right there, and Haunting of Hill House, which I have on the shelf over there, and what else? Turn of the Screw. They mention, of course, The Exorcist. In the 70s, this is when this new horror craze started in writing, and of course was followed up by Stephen King. Loved these novels, and it's what he read when he was young that made him want to write horror, I guess. But this is quiet horror, so I just want to explain that because I know I mentioned this to several people, several of my friends, and they don't even know what quiet horror means or is. So I'm just going to read. If you look up the definition of quiet horror, I did write it down, and I'm just going to read it. If you know this, fast forward. But quiet horror is a subgenre of horror that relies more on the unsettling, eerie, and subtly disturbing aspects of horror storytelling, rather than utilizing overt gore, shock tactics, or supernatural elements. Quiet horror tends to use psychological insight, atmosphere, and the uncanny to unsettle the readers. And that's what this book is par excellence. Fantastic, quiet horror story. So this book is set in 1935 in a small town called Pequot Landing in Connecticut. This town does not exist. It is purely made up by Thomas, and it kind of represents this. He grew up in a small farming community town in Connecticut, so it's kind of modeled after, you know, his childhood when he grew up. A lot of people think that some of the characters in here also relate to characters in his life growing up when he was a kid in Connecticut. He didn't really say one way or the other. Now he does use Pequot Landing as another setting in another book, Lady. I haven't read all of his books. I think I have all but one. But anyways, he does use this Pequot Landing in other stories. Maybe giving the idea to Stephen King to use, you know, different similar settings in his stories. All right, so what is this about? So this is about two young boys, Holland and Niles. So what I want you to think about is Castor and Pollux, right? Gemini, Cain and Abel, Remus and Romulus. You see where I'm going here? The Janus head. So this isn't a new, you know, he didn't invent anything here. It's not a new style. This is basically the good twin and the bad twin, the evil twin. So that's, in general, that's what this book is about. There is some kind of mystical, magical things that happen in the book. There's, again, quiet horror. The atmosphere is wonderful. It does kind of remind me of when I was a kid growing up, although I'm not that old. I didn't grow up in the 30s. I am old, but I'm not that old. Right? Okay. But so it takes place in the 30s, so there's a lot of stuff going on in the world anyways at that point. There's one point where, you know, this like traveling sideshow kind of circus comes to town. That plays a part in it. There's murder and intrigue and relationship. I don't want to give any. I've been, you know, a lot of people complain that I give away too much in my reviews of my books, so I'm not going to give anything away with this. Yes, good twin, evil twin, quiet horror, 1935, farming community. That's all you need to know. There's some really cool gothic, you know, type atmosphere in this novel, and I just think it's amazing. It's not perfect by any means, but I ain't gonna lie, I gave it 5 stars. This is by far one of the best books that I've read this year. Now, I had watched the movie years ago when I was a kid. It scared the hell out of me, I remember. I had never really read the book. I've of course known what it was about for most of my life, but I never fully read the book. I do like the black edge here. It's a fast read, 280 pages. Let me just say another thing. I'm gonna rant here a little bit. I went on Goodreads and I read some reviews. One person gave it 1 star. Please do not rate a book if you haven't read the goddamn book. A person gave it 1 star and said, literally, and then you write this? I DNF'd it after 4 pages. I didn't understand it. 4 pages. 4 pages. I DNF'd it, and I'm going to go on Goodreads and give it 1 star. Sorry, that pisses me off. Yeah, read a book, then rate it. Please, I beg you. Anyways, all right, I'm done with my rant. That's my rant for the day. All right, I love this book. Ending to my 2024 Spooky Scary Skeleton Halloween Readathon. At least it ended on a great note, and I'm happy I read it. These were the other books I read, of course, during the season, and I can't wait to start November off. All right, that's pretty much it. I hope I gave you enough to want to read this book because it's fantastic. Or search it. I found the movie on YouTube. Yay, YouTube. Go to YouTube and look up Thomas Tryon's The Other. I mean, it's not in great aspect, ratio. It's probably taken off of VHS or something, but it's good enough to watch, and I think you'll enjoy it. John Ritter's in it. Anyways, as usual, if you found any entertaining value in my video, please like, please subscribe, and please leave comments. Happy Halloween, everybody, and until next time, peace out.